I'm the business bishop, on a mission so divine. Coaching up the kingdom, watch your glory start to shine. Step into your purpose, let ambition be your guide. Grow your greatness high with faith right by your side. In the marketplace, calling, hear the angels sing. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. Bishop Wayne's in your corner, together we'll break through. Victory's a choice and today you're gonna choose. Living out your dreams, ain't no time for second best. Fulfill your destiny, put your limits to the test. Break those chains, rise up, find your flow. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. When the marketplace call it, in the marketplace call it. In your corner, together we'll break through. Victory's a choice, and today you're gonna choose. Living out your dreams, ain't no time for second best. Fulfill your destiny, put your limits to the test. Break those chains, rise up, find your flow. Find your flow. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. Rise up, business bishop, let your victory roar. Coaching for the kingdom, you're destined for more. Rise up, business bishop, let your victory roar. Coaching for the kingdom, you're destined for more.
I'm standing tall, no fear in my soul. With faith as my armor, I'm ready to roll. Every challenge I face, I'll conquer with might. With God by my side, I'm shining so bright. I'll rise in the fight, I'm bold and I know God's got my back, I'm never alone. Grace is my weapon, my spirit has grown. Supernatural power, my heart in the zone. With faith in my journey, I'm carving my throne.
Wow and wow, good people. God bless you. God bless you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Greetings and salutations. Blessings to each and every one of you. This is Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the business bishop. Always excited and delighted to be a part of your life and legacy through this ministry. And this is a continuation of our great big international kingdom conversation. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, to those of you that are joining us live, I salute you. Yes, my sound effects. And for those of you that are catching the replays, love you. Thank God for each and every one of you. Thank God for this growing kingdom community, this kingdom family, and we are literally having a blast. All right, we are having a great time exploring and unpacking the mysteries and the secrets of the kingdom as they pertain to your assignment in the earth. And I am convinced that none of us is present on planet earth at this junction in human history without purpose, meaning, intention, as part of God's master plan. And that you have, in fact, come to the kingdom for such a time as this. So we're exploring those themes, unpacking those themes, and I want to thank from the deep of my heart those of you that have subscribed to our channel, those of you that click the like button, and those of you that leave a comment. It means the world to me. I read through the comments. You'll probably notice I like your comments, right? I read through the comments. They are inspirational. They encourage me to keep on keeping on, and they remind me that I'm in the right place at the right time, saying the right things to the right people on the right platform. So please do keep those comments coming. And if you are joining us live, you know what to do with the chat box. to just set it on fire. If we say anything that resonates with you at a profound level, or that constitutes a light bulb moment for you, here's my sound effect for a light bulb moment, or that constitutes an epiphany, an elevation in your understanding, a paradigm shift, please shout it out in the chat box. Utilize the emojis, the fire emojis, hand clapping emojis, heart emojis, hands raised emojis, whatever emoji expresses your emotion. Please do light up the chat box, and let's make this conversation as interactive as possible. All right, so we are in this November to Remember, and we are dealing with this really epic subject on success mapping principles. So we kicked off with a little bit of an introduction at the beginning of the month. Then we went straight into life mapping, and now we are in the midst of career mapping. And we did a first installment of career mapping, which was really designed to give more broader context to the concept of career mapping. And of course, the full session is still available on my YouTube channel. And it should be the one just before this one, okay? And what we're going to do now is we're going to dig into some practicalities and some strategies and some formulas, and it's going to be an exciting journey. So if you're excited about the journey, please light up the chat box right now. Let me know. Say, I'm ready to go. Looking forward to it. Let's go, Bishop. Let's go. All right, so here we go. So this is career mapping strategy, career mapping secrets, and it's part 2. And in this part, I want to cover 8 keys to effective and successful career mapping. I could otherwise call this 8 keys to prophetic career mapping, because all mapping is fundamentally prophetic, in that you have to anticipate, and you have to project, and you have to look into the future and make decisions today about what the future could look like and what the future means for you. And so in that respect, mapping is somewhat prophetic, okay? And so what I'm going to give are the 8 keys to prophetic career mapping, to successful career mapping, to effective career mapping. And if you're excited about it, yay, make some noise. So here are the 8 keys in summary. I'm going to talk about understanding your industry, then knowing where the value is in your industry, aiming for the top, becoming the person in the picture, learning the language, following the leaders, building a reputation, and building relationships. So those are the 8 keys that we're going to look at today. So let's kick off with understanding your industry, okay? Understanding your industry, including its history and its victories. And of course, let there be light is the first order in creation. Let there be light is the first order in creation, according to Genesis 1. And it speaks to us of the fact that you should investigate before you invest. It speaks to the fact that if you're going to create something meaningful, sustainable, fulfilling, and lasting, then the starting point is to get as much light as you can on the situation. It is to get information, it's to get understanding. So according to the Proverbs, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all you're getting, get understanding. So with all you're getting, get understanding really means that for all of the things that you can get out of an opportunity, determine that your highest priority is to get understanding. So if you're going to invest much of your life, the best years of your life, into an opportunity within a specific industry, within a particular industry, because as we said in the last session, that ultimately your career path is a decision that you make to master a particular set of skills. and then to use those skills to create value for others. That's fundamentally what a career path is, a decision to master a particular set of skills. And if you're going to decide to master a particular set of skills, that's going to put you inside an industry, going to put you inside a particular industry. And of course, if you're going to give that much of your life, those best years of your life, to an industry, then it's important that you understand the industry, that you get understanding, that you let there be light, so that you're walking in the light, you're not walking in the darkness. And so, in this respect, I encourage you and challenge you to do some research, to do some studies into your industry, including its history and its victories. You know, when did it begin? Why does it exist? And I could say when and how did it begin? That's an important one. Why does it exist? Who does it serve? Okay, so who are the beneficiaries of that opportunity? Who are the beneficiaries of the offers? Who are the beneficiaries of the institution, the organization? Who are the beneficiaries of the industry? Who does it serve? What is the standard and model of excellence? That's a really important one, that you understand that at the highest levels in this industry, this particular company, this particular organization, this particular person represents the standard or the model of excellence. And then what are its possibilities? Okay, does it produce millionaires? Does it produce billionaires? Does it produce employees and wage slaves? Like, what does it actually produce? What are the possibilities if I'm going to go into this industry, and if I'm going to decide to master skills that put me inside this industry? Then what are its possibilities? Does it deliver? Has it delivered millionaires, billionaires? Does it deliver freedom, time freedom? Does it position people as influential, having social influence? You know, what are the possibilities of the industry? And then number 6, will it be needed and valued in the future? And this is where you have to get somewhat prophetic and ask yourself, look, this industry that I'm in, or this industry that I'm going into, if you're considering a career change, you need to ask yourself, you know, will it be valued? Will it be needed? Will it be valued in the future? Why? Because opportunities typically have life cycles. Industries typically have life cycles. Products and services typically have life cycles, which means that when they first come to the market, they are in hot demand. And so there's increasing demand for the product, for the service, for the opportunity. And then it eventually plateaus. And it typically plateaus because the market is saturated. And then it goes into decline, okay? So that there is less and less demand for the product, the service, the opportunity, the gadget, the technology, whatever it is, it goes into decline. And it goes into decline typically because someone else has brought a new and improved version of that to the market. And of course, customers are loyal to outcomes, right? Customers are loyal to outcomes. And if this new product, new service, new opportunity can secure a better outcome faster, cheaper, then obviously the market's going to move there. Now, you know, the initial opportunity is in decline. So what you want to ask yourself is, look, will this industry be needed in the future, and will it still be valued in the future? You have to become somewhat prophetic, and you may need to do some research and get some statistics around the sustainability and the long-term prospects of the industry into which you are invested. And then the last one, in terms of understanding the industry, is where are its risks, okay? So there is no opportunity without risk, okay? There are no rewards in life without risk. These are two sides of the same coin, okay? Like success and sacrifice, right? They're two sides of the same coin. Reward and risk are two sides of the same coin. So you want to get realistic about what could go wrong, and not so that you have an excuse to procrastinate or to change your mind, but so that you can mitigate and be prepared, creating contingencies and options for what you might do should certain things, should adversity hit the industry. So, understanding your industry is going to give you a strategic advantage over those who don't understand the industry. They've just dived into an opportunity, but they don't understand the industry. They're going to be at a strategic disadvantage, whereas you're going to be at a strategic advantage. And simply your understanding of the industry is going to set you apart and earmark you for promotion, for invitations, to arenas and to rooms, because it'll come out in your language that, here, look, this person is not only working in this industry but actually understands the industry. Can I hear an amen from somebody? Okay, so the second key to successful, effective, and prophetic career mapping is to understand the 4 levels of value. Okay, it is to know where the value is. Where the value is. So the question here is, where is the value? Where is the value? And put simply, who is paid the most and for what? So in this business, in this opportunity, in this industry, who's paid the most and for what are they paid the most? Because in every industry, there are 4 levels of value, okay? There's a hierarchy of value in terms of the value of your contribution. There are 4 levels, okay? Now, of course, we could, put this under a microscope and break it down into 8 levels, 16 levels, all kinds of levels. But I'm kind of grouping things together and saying that when it comes to your contribution, there are 4 levels on which you can contribute, and these are levels of value, and they're going to determine how much you're paid. Because each level of value is worth so much to the industry. So the 4 levels are as follows. They are operations, aggregations, communications, and innovations. Operations, aggregation, communication, and innovation. So what do I mean by operations? So that is the entry level. Operations is the base level. Operations, it really speaks to the laborer, okay? The manpower, the hands on deck. It refers to the execution of daily tasks, okay, assigned to you, and your execution of those daily tasks constitute the operations of the organization or of the industry. So when you enter at the operational level, you can expect to be paid the least. Why the least? Because manpower and hands on deck are easily replaceable. Okay, if you look at the supply-demand equation, okay, there is infinitely more supply than demand. Okay, so you can always find someone to work a manual job or to execute on simple tasks in a particular sequence. So long as they are managed and trained, they can be taught to do that. And therefore, because the supply outweighs the demand, the prices decrease. Okay, so simple supply demand economics means that where the demand exceeds the supply, then the prices go up. But whenever the supply exceeds the demand, then the prices come down. So operations, that's the entry level. You will be paid the least. Okay, And of course, you can see from this slide, my challenge is for you to level up. So you may start just operating, and this is equally true of someone that goes into business as an entrepreneur. You're typically going to start as a business operator, and you're going to be operating, fulfilling the functions of the business, doing everything on a daily basis. You won't have any time freedom. You won't have freedom of mobility. You won't have freedom of expression, and you probably won't have financial freedom at that level, because that's the entry level. That's the self-employed solopreneur who is a business operator. Okay. So the next level is aggregation or consolidation, and it really speaks to management. Okay? So at that level, you'll be paid a little more than the operators. You'll be paid a little more than the laborers, because your job is to aggregate the operations and to ensure that the operations are working together to produce a desired outcome, a valuable result. So you typically get paid a little more, okay? You definitely work harder, longer hours. You take the blame for anything that goes wrong. And so some people, they aspire to this level and say, I want to get into management. And when they get into management, they want to get out of it, because it is very time demanding. It is very taxing emotionally, psychologically. There's a lot of risk involved at this level, because you are now responsible for the operators. And your skill is in aggregating, consolidating, fostering cooperation, cohesion, and making sure that the system is working. Management. Okay, so there's a level in every industry beyond management, and that is communication. So now we're getting up into the higher levels where there's real value, where people get paid a lot more money than the management or the operations. And it's communications. Now, communications is broad. It's broad in that, as a communicator, you may be a trainer, you may be the negotiator, you may be the sales professional, you are responsible for presentations and ultimately representation. So you are the voice of the industry, and the voice of the industry is its representation. And whether you are representing to the market, to customers, to clients, to prospects, whether your representation is internal in terms of consulting, coaching, training, advising, you are specializing in communication. Your value is in your mouth and in your mind, okay? And you will typically get paid much more than managers and operators. In fact, managers and operators may not like you, right? They may not like you. They won't like the fact that they're working, 8 to 10 hours a day, okay, on monotonous tasks, okay, and they're getting paid X amount, and you come in to do a 2-hour seminar, 2-hour training, 2-hour coaching, and you're getting paid in a day as much as they're getting paid in a week or a month, and now they just don't like you, okay? Don't ask me how I know these things, but now they just don't like you. The fact is that what you understand at the communications level is that this industry, okay, this industry rewards the communicators much more than it does the aggregators and the operators. And so when you come in at the operational level, your goal is to work your way up this value ladder to where you can get into communications. Now, there's a level beyond communication, and this is innovation, okay? And this is where you work with your mind on on projects. You work with your mind on promotions. You work with your mind on products. You work with your mind on the business, and what you bring is strategy. What you bring is direction. What you bring is continuous and never-ending improvement. And at the ideas level, okay, that is the highest level of value in every industry. It's the thinkers that are rewarded the most. So in terms of rewards, the thinkers are at the highest, the communicators are next, the aggregators, and then the operators. So it's important that you understand where the value is. All right. So you're going to go into this career, right? But the question is, where is the value? Like, who's paid the most and for what are they paid the most? And what you're going to begin to discover is that the operators are not paid the most. The aggregators are not paid the most. The communicators and the innovators are paid the most. And therefore, your goal is to become a communicator and an innovator in that industry. Way! Which brings me to your goal, right? And brings me to this concept of the top 10% that I discovered many years ago. Has been such a blessing to me. The top 10%. Now, I could do a whole presentation on the top 10%, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract some bullet points because I'm giving you the keys to prophetic, successful, and effective career mapping. Okay, and we've given you some keys, and now I'm going to give you this key, which is to aim for the top. It's the top 10%. So in every industry, there exists a hierarchy of value. We looked at that, right? And in that hierarchy of value that we just looked at, we saw that the innovators and communicators are worth more to the industry than are the aggregators and the operators, right? So in every industry, there exists a hierarchy of value in which the top 10% enjoy 90% of the revenue, rewards, and resources available. Wow. So here's the split, right? It's the 10-90 split. So that in virtually every industry, and of course this is very generic, right? This is not based on sort of precise analysis, but generically speaking, in every industry, 10% of the people involved actually enjoy 90% of the revenue, the rewards, the resources, and the recognition. Only 10% of the people enjoy it, right? So this divides the participants. It divides the contributors into a top 10% and a bottom 90%. Top 10%, bottom 90%. The top 10% enjoy 90% of all the revenue, the rewards, resources, recognition. That's what they enjoy. The bottom 90% fight over 10% of the revenue coming into that industry, the rewards, the recognition, and the resources. They're going to fight over only 10% of what's available. Now, if you want a good picture of this, let's take the music industry, right? The music industry. And what you'll find is that the musicians and artists who enjoy the lion's share of revenue, recognition, rewards, resources, perks, privileges are about 10%. 90% of all musicians are struggling. 90% of all people in that particular industry are struggling or are part-time or haven't cracked the code. Yes, you're going to meet some who are at the top of the bottom. Okay? And so doing a little bit better, perhaps they're full-time, but they're still struggling from gig to gig. They're still struggling in terms of the streams. They're still struggling in terms of revenue because they're still in the bottom 90%. Now, I see this with sales professionals. I see this with authors and publishers and coaches. I see this in virtually every industry. There's a top 10% who are enjoying 90% of the money that's coming into that industry. And there's a bottom 90% who are fighting over 10%. And the lesson here is this, that you should aim for the top. You should aim for the top because the bottom is way too crowded. Woo-hoo. Yeah, aim for the top. Aim for the top or get out of the game. See, all the rewards, all the recognition, all of the resources, all of the revenue is in the top 10%. So if you're going into the industry, don't just go in to be in, say, well, I'm in business, I have this business, I'm in this particular industry, or I've got this job, or I'm a manager, No, that's not where the rewards are. That's not where the recognition is. The recognition is at the top. So aim for the top. The bottom is way too crowded. Aim for the top or get out of the game. If you're going into an industry, your mindset should be that I am going to rise and get into the top 10% of the most productive, the most effective, the most successful, the most influential, the most profitable. I'm going to be in the top 10%. Because if you're not going for the top, you are going to spend your life struggling, wrestling, worrying over a very little and competing with thousands and thousands of others who are struggling over the same thing. In this respect, I've given you a bit of a career path, and I'm gonna get biblical on you right now and say that cities in the Bible are kingdoms, right? They are city-states, they're kingdoms. And in every kingdom, there are two strongholds, okay? They are the gates and the palace. The gates and the palace. Now, why do we call them strongholds? It is because troops are positioned, elite troops are positioned by the king at the gates and at the palace. And the reason why the gates and the palace are heavily fortified and most protected is because the gates will give you access. Okay? So if you get through the gates of a city, then you have access. You are inside. Okay? But if you seize the palace, you have control. Okay? So the defending army positions its elite fighting forces at the gates and at the palace of a city. Now, the same is true of an industry. If you think of the industry as a city, you're going to find that the defending army, right, positions its elite fighting forces at the gates and at the palace. So in other words, you'll first struggle to get in. That'll be your first struggle, to get in. All right? Access is always the first struggle. So whatever industry you're assigned to, your first struggle will be to get in. Okay, so once you get in, okay, guess what? You're in the bottom 90%. All right? Because it's the top 10% of people who reside in the palace who are actually enjoying all of the perks, benefits, and privileges of that city. The 90%, right, the citizens, the crowd, they're struggling over only 10%. But all the gold is in the palace. All the glory is in the palace, and the government is in the palace. So the fact that you got into the gates, that was your first struggle. Accessing the industry is your first struggle. But guess what your second struggle is? Your second struggle is going to be whether to settle in the bottom 90%, to be content with a little house in the city, or to set your sights on the palace, which is the top 10%. And of course, some people get defeated right there because it was such a struggle simply getting in the industry, you're ready to quit and settle for a little piece of that pie. But see, when you're assigned to the industry, when you're called to the marketplace, when you are sent by God into a system, you don't have the luxury of deciding to settle. okay? Because God has a purpose for your industry. God has a purpose for your career. And that purpose we outlined in the last session. God wants access, God wants agency, God wants advertisement, and God wants acquisition. And all of those things are possible in the palace, not inside the city gates. So, this is a bit of a career path here to say aim for the palace, which is another way of saying aim for the top, aim for the palace, right? You know, at whatever level you're on. So, if you are an operator, understand that it is the top 10% of operators that get selected for management. Woo! And then it's the top 10% of managers that get selected for representation. And then it's the top 10% of representatives that get selected for innovation. So at every stage in your journey, aim for the top. See, if you're currently a laborer, manpower, an operator, executing daily tasks in a monotonous way, then decide that you're going to be the best operator that this industry's ever seen, the best operator that this company or this organization's ever seen. Aim for the top of that, because from the top 10% will be selected management. Now you experience a promotion, and from the top 10% of managers are selected. Actually qualifies those people to become speakers, trainers, teachers, coaches, advisors, consultants, negotiators. It all comes from the top 10%, okay? And the innovators are going to come from the top 10% of the representatives who are the communicators. So that's a bit of a career path for you. Okay, let's keep on keeping on. Are you having fun? Are you getting something out of these prophetic keys to career mapping? Because now I want to talk about becoming the person in the picture. Becoming the person in the picture, because the picture is actually the vision of your success, okay, and it's the vision of you at the top, okay, at the summit, okay, of Mount Potential. So you reach the summit of Mount Potential, okay. Well, becoming a leader. Okay, a successful leader, ascending through the ranks from operator to owner, ascending through the ranks from laborer to leader, getting in the top 10% is going to require a bigger, better, smarter, wiser version of you. Okay, you must become the person in the picture of your own success, the person that suits the picture. And so what this is going to involve is some prophetic preparations. Woo! Prophetic preparations. So prophetic preparations means preparing yourself today for where you believe you will be tomorrow. Okay, so if you believe God is taking you somewhere, that God is promoting you, positioning you, prospering you, protecting you. If you believe that you're going to be in leadership tomorrow, then you start preparing today for that future role. And this is perhaps one of the master keys to effective career mapping. It is to prepare yourself today for a future role. To start making preparations now for then. And this is the wisdom of Joseph. Okay, the wisdom of Joseph starts with anticipation of future trends, turbulence, and transitions. So Joseph's wisdom began with his interpretation of dreams, which meant he was able to anticipate future trends, turbulence, and transitions. Okay, this wisdom is predictive and prescriptive. The wisdom of Joseph is predictive and prescriptive. The prescription was to invest in the future. In other words, what Joseph said to Pharaoh is, look, 7 years of plenty will be consumed by 7 years of famine. But what we're going to do is in the years of plenty, we're going to take a portion, a percentage, and we're going to store it against the years of famine. Then when the famine hits, we'll have enough grain for the kingdom to survive, but they're going to have to buy it from us. Wow and wow. So what's happening here? Joseph says, look, don't wait till the crisis comes. Don't wait till you need it. Build it now, prepare for it now, get ready now for when your opportunity arrives. And this is a master key to effective career mapping. It's to say, okay, there's a future role for me as a leader, so I'm going to start learning leadership now. There's a future role for me in terms of managing vast sums of money, so I'm going to learn money now. There's a future role for me in terms of leading a growing team of managers and operators, so I'm going to start learning leadership now. I'm going to build my relational skills, my emotional intelligence. I'm going to work on myself, and I'm going to grow myself today for what I know is coming tomorrow. Wow and wow. And this is what is meant by strategic personal development. Strategic see, a lot of people say, oh, I'm into personal development. Yeah, I read books, I attend seminars, I watch videos, I subscribe to podcasts, I listen to my favorite teachers, they inspire me, I feel a bit of motivation. Listen, that may be personal development, but it's not strategic. So when it comes to career mapping, you have to become intentional and strategic about your personal development, because the goal is that you become the person in the picture of your own success, right? So that starts with identifying your knowledge gaps. Your what? Your knowledge gaps. Yeah. So there are things you know that you don't know. Okay, there are things that you already know that you don't know about. Those are knowledge gaps. Now, it's the difference between knowledge gaps and blind spots. Blind spots are where you don't know that you don't know. But a knowledge gap is where you know that you don't know. So you want to make a list of things and say, look, in my future, I'm going to need to know a lot about this, and this. So you start making your list in terms of your knowledge gaps. Okay, number 2, your skills deficiencies. Okay, and say, okay, look, in my future, I'm going to need to be able to do these things well. And right now, I've not even done them at all, or I don't do them very well. So you put that on the list as one of the skills that you're going to develop. And so now you have a list of knowledge gaps and skills deficiencies. You can start building a library around those subjects. And that library will include books. It will include audio learning programs, okay, that are available streaming today, very available. There are apps that can help with this as well. Your video library, okay, in terms of the tutorials that you watch on how to do things, okay. Your subscriptions to organizations, to newsletters, to memberships, and your subscriptions to services that are keeping you abreast of current trends in these fields, your knowledge gaps and your skills deficiencies. So what you're doing is you're building a library that's strategic, because you know that these are the things you're going to need to know at some point in the future. So you start building your knowledge of it now. And then it's self-managed learning. Self-managed learning. In other words, no one's forcing you to learn this. This is not compulsory professional development. This is you saying, here's where I'm going. I'm going from the bottom 90% to the top 10%. I'm going to need to know these things. I'm going to need to have these skills. So I'm building my library around these things. And now I'm disciplining myself to put 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week, 4 hours a week, whatever it is, in simply practicing personal development, upgrading my knowledge and my skills. And I'm intentional about it because I know that the day is coming when a vacancy will appear, an opportunity will appear, and I need to be ready when that opportunity knocks. Okay? So I'm going to take this a little bit further in terms of future skills. Career mapping involves the intentional development of 4 skill sets. So there are lots of skills that you might need to develop, but I think of my personal skills development in terms of 4 skill sets. So here they are. They're first of all the intrapersonal skills. Intra means internal personal skills. So that has to do with your ability to motivate yourself. It has to do with your level of emotional intelligence. Okay? It has to do with your ability to coach yourself out of one state and into another state. It's mindset. It's how to keep that positive mental attitude. Okay? How to solve problems internally, right? All of these things are intrapersonal skills. They are critical because the future will be more demanding than the present. But that shouldn't worry you if you are a bigger person in the future. Okay? So the future, your future success will be more demanding than your present. All right? And so if you think that more money equals less problems, bigger staff equals less problems, a bigger company is less problems, you have lost part of your mind. Okay? Or you're definitely not reading any autobiographies. And you're definitely got your head in the sand. That your future will require a better version of you. It's going to require advanced intrapersonal skills. You have to talk yourself out of quitting, okay? You're going to have to learn how to change your state and manage your mood. You're going to have to learn how to reframe situations and circumstances, how to keep yourself going, right? You're going to have to learn not to lash back. I mean, so much you're going to have to, and it's all intrapersonal. And then there's the interpersonal skill sets. Interpersonal is how you win friends and influence others. It's your relational skills, okay? Because no one's going to go along with you if no one can get along with you. And so these are skill sets, okay? There are sets of skills that are interpersonal, okay? Like creating rapport, okay? The art and science of small talk, okay? There's so much in this interpersonal skills. I don't want to dive off into it too far. Commercial skills, right? So that's your business skills. You need to be astute and sophisticated as a business leader. You need to become a smart entrepreneur that is commercially, financially sophisticated, financially intelligent, commercially intelligent. These are skills that your future demands of you. So don't wait till the future arrives. Start them now. Technical skills, and those are the actual things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis, and you certainly want to keep abreast of technology in that respect. All right, let's go on to the last few. Learn the language of your level. Learn the language of your level. Each level in your career requires a new language. Wow, and look, that was such a wow moment that we need to air home. Each level in your career requires a new language. If you learn the language, you will succeed on that level. So let me read Daniel 1, verse 3-4. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of the eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel and of the king's seed, and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace. Right, so notice, all of those things are prerequisites. We have a list of prerequisites. So these prerequisites says, look, the king wants to select from among the children of the captivity children who meet this criteria. These are the prerequisites. But now what's the process of their promotion? It says, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. The learning and the language, that is the culture and the language of the Chaldeans. So once you are qualified, in order to experience promotion, once you're pre-qualified, you must learn the culture and the language. And with each new level in your career, there is a new culture and there's a new language. See, people in management don't speak the same way as people in operations. And people in communications don't speak the same language as managers. And people at the ideation level do not speak the same language, because there's a language in every industry. So if you are going into, if I took the four corners of a kingdom, if you're going into, if your career puts you in politics, if your career puts you in business, if your career puts you in culture, or it puts you in faith, right? The four corners of the kingdom, guess what? There's a language. Like every industry veils its secrets in its own language. So it may be English, but there are phrases, there are terms, there are acronyms that are particular to that industry and particular to that level of industry. And when I say learn the language, I don't just mean the vocabulary, but I do mean the vocabulary, right? Improve your vocabulary so that you understand conversations that are taking place on senior levels. And you want to understand them so you can participate in them. So when I talk about the language, I'm not just talking about the vocabulary. I'm talking about your ability to understand high-level conversations and participate in higher-level conversations. Because once you understand the language, then you'll understand the conversation, and now you can participate in the conversation. Very important that you decide, I'm going to learn the language. I'm going to intentionally build my vocabulary in this field. I'm going to intentionally begin using words and phrases and acronyms. I'm going to intentionally begin reading publications that are written to management or to leadership, higher levels, because I want to learn the culture and the language. Model the next level. In the introduction, I called it follow the leader, but this is such a powerful one. Model the next level simply means that studies show that if you look and sound like the next level, people will assume you are and treat you accordingly. In other words, if you actually dress, let's suppose you're at the operations level, but you dress like management, you have lunch in the same places that the management have lunch, you talk like management, right? You have all of the people see you and they'll think of you as a manager, right? As management, as that level. And then when they figure out that you're not, they earmark you for a management role. Now, the same is true if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in business, right? So the first level of entrepreneurship is the operators, right? But then the second level is the aggregators, where you've made the transition from laborer to leader, okay? But if while you're a laborer, you decide, look, I'm going to dress like the leaders, I'm going to have lunch where the leaders have lunch, I'm going to be at the events where the leaders are, I'm going to learn their language, and I'm going to model the next level. Well, when people meet you, they're just going to deal with you as though you're on that level. And if they find out that you're not, they're going to think, well, look, we need to help pull you up into this level because you belong on our level. Woo! Model the next level. It's deep. Okay. we've just got a few more. So your personal brand is your reputation for results in your field. So you want to build your personal brand. It's going to absolutely accelerate your career path if you focus on building a personal brand. Now, what is the personal brand? It's your reputation for results in your field. So you want to build a reputation for results. So it starts with you establishing your authority, which is your right to represent a big idea. Your authority, your right to represent a big idea. And the word authority starts with the word author. So the best way to establish your authority is to author and publish a signature book packed with your personal proverbs, insights, wisdom, know-how that sets you apart and positions you as the go-to person in your field. You also want to build a following online with your personal proverbs, because that is the fact of the digital age, that if no one's following you online, it means that you do not exist to others. Or it may mean that you're a scammer. People want to not just see that you are present online, but that you have followers online. Okay, collect testimonials, right? If you serve people and they are satisfied, happy, elated, get them to record a video or to write a testimonial or allow you to use their picture and their written words in a testimonial. You want to collect testimonials, and you want to be able to illustrate your understanding, demonstrate that your perspectives have real potential to change lives. Finally, the true success formula is 80% relational and only 20% technical. Nobody will go along with you if they cannot get along with you. Key people have the keys to the next chapter of your destiny. So if you say, well, look, I'm not a people person, then you're not an entrepreneur and you're not going to go very far in the marketplace. You need a set to develop your relational skills and become intentional about the relationships that you build. Those that have value for your destiny, you want to nurture those relationships. Those that have no value to your your sense of destiny and purpose, well, you want to keep them there. Okay, you're not in the business of turning people away or running people off. Your convictions will turn people off and run some people away. But anyone that comes in relationship with you, it's very important that you cherish that, nurture that, value that, and realize that 80% of your success will reflect the quality of your relationships. Okay, so there were 8 principles I gave you there. You're going to want to go over this video again because they are the keys to prophetic, successful, and effective career mapping. These keys, together with the previous post, will help you with your career. I want to help you so much in this month of November because I believe 2025 is going to be a defining year, and I want to pour out. So this is the November to Remember. So I'm running a Wednesday webinar on the Zoom platform every week in November, and I'm specifically looking at the 4-year challenge. Why? Because I believe that your career, okay, can accelerate and deliver to you a profound level of freedom, a level of freedom like you've never known. If you do the business right. Now, this is really a challenge for entrepreneurs. Okay, it is for entrepreneurs. I'm sure that there's some professionals that will get benefit from it. But if you are an entrepreneur and you're one of God's entrepreneurs, you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this, I want to show you a way to build a business that serves you your family, your lifestyle, and legacy, and that delivers real freedom to you in just 4 years. The 4-year challenge. Okay? And some say, oh, 4 years is a long time. Well, it's much shorter than the 40 years that most people are going to spend working for wages. These 4 years are based on a biblical blueprint, and it will blow your mind. So it's a free webinar. The link to register is beneath this post in the description, and you should do that. You should likewise take advantage of the Success Streams Masterclass, the last one for the year, the Success Streams Masterclass, best masterclass I have ever done, because it really does pull together into a simple formula and strategy all of the biblical business wisdom fused with best practice, empirical evidence as to exactly how you can experience unprecedented success in your business. All right, good people, watch these ads before you leave. It's, as always, it has been a pleasure. Watch these ads before you leave and start those comments. I want to see your comments right now.
I've got potential to be what I dream.
Join Bishop Wayne Malcolm for his special webinar series entitled The 4-Year Challenge, in which the business bishop will explain how you can achieve the 4 freedoms, including financial freedom, time freedom, freedom of mobility, and freedom of expression with a simple 4-year plan. He will expose the illusions of job security and the 40-year plan promoted by the school system, while presenting a biblical blueprint for success through entrepreneurship. The webinar takes place every Wednesday morning in November at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A link to register is in the description below this video. Register now and embark on the road to freedom.
Attention God's entrepreneurs. Did you know that there is a success system deeply hidden and encoded in the stories of the Bible? The system works 100% of the time for people who work it, even if they work it unconsciously or not realizing its spiritual roots. Join the business bishop for a masterclass in God's success system and discover how to turn your opportunities into outcomes, your ideas into incomes, and your passion into profits. The Success Streams Masterclass includes step-by-step training on the system and comes with additional bonus courses by the business bishop. Perhaps you've tried everything else. Now try God's way and watch the same power that took Israel from slavery to mastery take you from the pain of poverty to the pinnacles of prosperity. Are you ready? Click the link in the description to find out more or to secure your seat.
Hey there, entrepreneurs! If you enjoy the teachings of Bishop Wayne Malcolm, I've got something amazing for you. Introducing the New Breed Community, an exclusive online platform for kingdom-conscious entrepreneurs, professionals, investors, and creators. This isn't just a community, it's a movement where we discuss and explore kingdom concepts. Here, kingdom-minded people connect, share, learn, and grow together. Inside, you'll find exclusive content from Bishop Wayne Malcolm, including special sessions just for members. And the best part? It's free to join. The New Breed Community sits on the Heartbeat platform, where Bishop Wayne Malcolm is excited to meet you online. Join us for weekly Q&A sessions with Bishop Wayne and get exclusive insights that can transform your life. Love to read? Join our book club to feed your mind and spirit. Got a prayer request? Post it and let's lift each other up. Have a testimony? Share how God's goodness is shining in your life. We're more than just a community, we're a movement. Discover the powerful relationship between your profession and your purpose. Join us now on the Heartbeat platform. Connect with us and let's grow together. Bishop Wayne Malcolm and the New Breed Community are waiting for you. So what are you waiting for? Hit that join button and step into a world of connection and growth. A warm welcome awaits you. See you on the inside.
Yo, it's time to rise, wake up from your sleep. Bishop Wayne's got the guidance, the wisdom runs deep. Subscribe and like, let's spread this truth loud. Comment, share it wide, let's stand tall, be proud. Kingdom coaching, we got the plan. Success principles, grab a hold and take a stand. Subscribe, like, comment and share. Bishop Wayne's teaching, we're climbing the stair. In the kingdom of hopes, together we'll thrive. With biblical truths, we'll keep dreams alive.